So we have Emmanuel Epau presenting on social media use in rural Uganda, and his advisor is Dr. Deborah Zahe-Blatz.
I really hope this is long enough, otherwise I'm going to keep on doing that. But friends, thank you for being here. I did research about understanding social media use in rural Africa, specifically analyzing the study of the barriers to digital communication in very small areas called Okoya Village in rural Uganda. Today I'll be presenting 31 slides in 15 minutes, so I hope we are on time. Moving on, today I'll be presenting about my research. I'll be talking about my background, the study, the findings, recommendations, the implications, and then my conclusion about this whole research thing. Moving on, I want to really explain about Uganda, because before I delve into research, I want to give a bigger picture about what Uganda is really about. Uganda is a lovely country, the part of Africa and the source of River Nile, which offers, wide rafting experiences, as you can see. It's a diverse ecosystem where, it's a home to wildlife like the majestic mountain gorillas and the famous tree climbing lands. We have over 50 tribes that contribute to the rich cultural heritage through music, dance, languages, and art. We are renowned for our warmth and hospitality, so I hope you all came ready, because I'm all taking you together right after this presentation. From our tribes, we have an entire exploration of flavors, so if you think it is big in Texas, come to Uganda. But really, Uganda is mostly on the eastern part of Africa, and specifically in East Africa, the center is called the heart of Africa. And in Uganda, we're going to go further in the eastern part of Uganda to a small area called Okoya Village, where I did most of my research. So if you observe very well, Okoya Village doesn't have really a great involved transportation system, and because of that, it's really hard to go by. I did research, and I was going around with my brother, and going around, trust me, was very, very, very complicated. And to give you a better picture, let's watch this video. Right now is me really hustling my brother to go around these areas to make research and getting into the rural people, to get to the root system, and analyzing what's the actual problem. But getting my background, the population is about 75% of Ugandans really live in rural areas of Uganda. And because of that, they really face issues like limited access to vital information and access to services, which affects the political system. This is why I really root my research into this research. Now, our president has been ruling since 1986, and because of that, most of these votes come from the rural areas of Uganda, because of course it's 75%, but these are people voting with outdated information. And that, from a total of one vote, it ends up affecting other areas of social, health insurance, education systems, and so many things with the start of one vote. So if I told you I was born in the seventh generation, and I'm still a generation of the seventh, it's because of that. And that's why I'm so passionate about this social media for change in rural Africa. It really influences and enhances political engagement, increases transparency, and increases rural empowerment through access to information. Access of information is a very vital aspect of life in Africa. Moving on to my research objectives, I would want to identify the extent of social media usage in Okoya Village, explore socio-economic and cultural barriers to social media use, and lastly, determine effective methods to enhance digital communication in general. My hypothesis, the first one was to, accessibility and utility is significant with social media engagement. And my second hypothesis is various barriers deter adoption and sustained usage of social media platforms in rural areas. And we shall see how this pans out. My methodology, my study really involved qualitative and quantitative data to have the various kind of aspects of information. I looked at two different attributes, 1835 and 1035 and above, just to compare how the older generation compares to the younger generation in terms of adapting to social media, how they look at perspectives concerning consumption of social media. And lastly, My data collection instruments, I use semi-structured interviews and surveys to get to the root system by talking, having one-on-one conversations that you're going to see. It was some interesting settings about social media depending on who was talking to me at the moment. I used SPSS and I did some cross-tabulation, and I realized mobile phone access does not directly link to social media engagement among all the residents. Which is interesting because you assume, if they have phones, they should use social media. It's not the case. So if you pay attention to the number of people who have smartphones, who have access to a phone, out of 39, 9 people use social media, and the 30 don't use social media. To the people who don't have access to a smartphone, out of the 11, only 1% uses social media, which is interesting. Maybe they use their uncle's phone, maybe. But moving on, this is mostly highlighted in this bar graph. Literally, people have higher access to social media. That really access to a phone doesn't even correlate how many people use social media. But to draw deeper into my quantitative analysis, I looked at the type of phone being used. So we call them button phones. Here, it could relate to what we call a flip phone. That's the button phone and that's a smartphone. The type of phone being used here significantly also influences social media engagement levels. Now, if we look at our data right here, out of 8 people who have access to a smartphone, only 7 use social media, and 1 doesn't. Maybe because of money, because it's very expensive. Getting the people who have access to button phones, out of 32 who have button phones, only 3 use social media. How? It's really challenging that people use social media, but hey, people make it work, which is awesome. Moving on to my qualitative findings, I wanted to get some more reasons in my conversations to back up my data as well. Looking at this chart, I could ask them on one of my surveys, what challenges do people use of cell phones? And trust me, the cost emerges as a major barrier, and I'm sure everyone in this room agrees cost is always the problem. With education, with nothing, it's always the cost. And electricity, of course, you cannot use the device, you can't charge it, you need to empower that device to be able to utilize it. And that's the network issue. When I was there, it was really hard to communicate. I had to go analog, I had to do everything by paper because there was no access to internet and access to a network because you couldn't communicate, and it made more sense as I was seeing these results. Moving on, I really want to highlight a few quotes and statements from these areas of people so you can get a feeling of what these people think and feel about social media engagement. The first person saying, even when I can afford a smartphone, keeping it charged is a challenge. It makes sense. Even if they can afford one, if there's no electricity, they can't use it. They have to charge it to be able to use it. The reason that's why I went analog, I could not charge my laptop, so I could start to do everything like that. The second person says, the smartphone is delicate and complex. Here, no one is available to teach us how to use it. This highlights the importance of educating people on how to utilize it. The person can use the phone if they don't know how to use it. A lot of people came home to just see how an iPad looks like, to just see how a digital camera operates, which is interesting. There's a lot of digital literacy needed in these areas. And the last person says, social media is evil as a kind. I fear to lead me to hell. Now, it's important we realize it's a very Christian environment where you find so many people who are believing one small belief from the time they were born, and you can't steal that away from them. It's what they believe. And that's the importance of digital literacy. We need to educate people on the advantages of social media other than the other beliefs and traditions. And this also spreads to cultures where a woman cannot be allowed to use social media because it disturbs her routines. A child cannot be allowed to use social media because they believe, it went to their lives and they end up going pornography. So there's a lot of beliefs and traditions that really they follow, and you can't steal that out from them. But what we need is educating them about the advantages of using social media in general. Moving on. The barriers to digital communication is about economic limitations, infrastructure, digital literacy, and cultural perceptions like we've seen already. Building social media adoption, affecting political engagement, market expansion, which is the very important aspect here, which I will address at the end of this presentation, and information access. I'm saying, if you're informed, you get to make informed decisions, and that's what we're lacking in Uganda. People are not informed to actually think of what are the right decisions to make, even when you have your own personal interests. So overcoming these obstacles really requires some interventions like subsidized technology, looking at infrastructure, construct products, and educating people on how to utilize and advantages, to know about the advantages of these smartphones in general. Looking at recommendations, like I said, costs. Everyone loves cutting costs, and there's something here. If you can post, it's very helpful for the rural residents to be able to afford such platforms. Expanding the coverage, like I said, I cannot communicate. So the building telecommunication towers is very important in such an environment. And lastly, education programs, like I said, a lot of people can just see how a device looks like, because in the first place, they don't know what that is. Once they know what that is and they know how it operates, they're curious on how to utilize that at the end of the day. So education is a very important aspect in this case. Now, this is not just coming from me, it's coming from them. One of the surveys I asked is, how can access to cell phones in Okola be increased? And guess what? Installing electricity can pass, because it's very important. If you cannot in-charge the device, you cannot power it up, you can't use it. And look at the true type, educating people on how to use phones, it's important. They need to know how to use it. And lastly, what I don't talk about is introducing more businesses. Now, if you notice, introduce a business, provide a job, provide money, and solve the problem of cost. Now, people have jobs, but the management of funds and pay expenses, which is very vital in this case. Looking at the implications of public policy, really is about doing the same thing. Governments should look for ways of reducing costs that are for residents. It's important that they look at reducing most of the mobile data plans, because at home, you want to go to the internet, you have to buy some mobile data. And once that runs out, you're out. So if they get some ways of reducing those costs, maybe it will increase the need of internet usage for rural Africans. Infrastructure is very vital to build roads, because you can't bring development if we have the roads that are shown in the beginning. In COVID, I lost my great-grandmother when she was 125 years. And getting back to the village, it was very hard. We had to drive through gardens because accessibility is a problem. So infrastructure is not about just social media, it's about social life as well. It was a pride to have a person that old guy and we're transporting that, and all we have to do is drive through gardens. It was so embarrassing at the end of the day. So infrastructure is not just about social media, it's about social life and development and business that they were saying. Educating programs are very vital. Like I say, knowledge is power. Educating people on how to try things is all we need. Make sure they know what to try, either for the good or for the bad. Implications for managers. I really want to just highlight this as managers and entrepreneurs. It's really an opportunity to make money. So, inspiration, bring up projects, services that really carry out these businesses that address issues. So, inspiration, you get to make money, and the consumers get to have services. Development is happening. So there's need of bringing these opportunities as entrepreneurs. One thing I want to highlight is 70% of Uganda's population depends on agricultural areas. However, most farmers are not digitally connected, leaving more than 30% of this population under the poverty line. And this is why some companies like M-Copper are providing fund financing programs to make sure there is increased accessibility to these funds. They run out the fund to you, and then you get paying installments, and you get that impact from these people. Now, these are different companies that are trying to bridge the gap of the digital divide. The other is Keep On. I want to keep on during the summer with my colleague Shakib right there. We were doing a lot of distribution of free smartphones to rural women in Uganda. This was about bridging the gap between digital divide. Women were happy by the time they received that phone. These were farmers who didn't have access to social media, didn't have a smartphone. And once they received that, we came back after a month, and there was a bigger impact on them. People were happy that they learned a lot of things. 1 month of exposure was very impactful in the life of these young women, which was awesome. And that brought up a business idea, which we call Africa Trade. Now, the most important thing, or the most biggest challenge in Africa is connectivity. We have the resources, we have everything we need. The biggest problem is connecting a person at point A to point B. That's the problem. So that's what we are looking at. Maximizing Africa's potential by digitally connecting farmers, markets, and productive equipment. Because sometimes when the farmer is capable, and they don't have seeds, then the farmer has seeds, they don't have equipment. All we have to do is connect. But Africa Trade, think about it as Amazon. But Amazon to farmers, where a farmer gets upload their produce, gets upload their produce, and then the consumer gets that, and then we are connecting delivery in general. But in simple terms, in concluding, there's power in the devices in your hands. One thing I want to leave with you in general is creating or supporting these initiatives is what makes this a better place. And a place where people have access to information to make informed decisions about their political education and the other systems. A place where people are not generations behind the rest of the world, and a place where the minority have a chance to learn. Thank you so much, and all questions are welcome.
Questions? You all can come. We have lots of seats in the front row.
Yes, Tim.
So, first off, I want to say congratulations to the great presentation.
Yes.
You really killed it. I know you presented a lot of issues and boundaries that are happening in Uganda, but if you were to give like a blank check to solve the issue, what issue would you tackle and how would you address it to get the connectivity and infrastructure to where it should be?
Mother, will you phrase the question very fast?
Sorry?
Will you phrase the question?
What would the number one issue you would try to solve be in Uganda to bring social media or influence it?
I think the one problem we solve is transportation. Build a road, even if it's not a public road, just put something where they can pass. That brings more people to these areas. And the more people come in and they learn, the more they go. Just build roads. Yes.
Yeah, congratulations. This
Thank
is incredible. There's a lot of work they've already put into it, obviously, with all this being here. I was wondering if you received any like political encouragement or political restraint, and how that's affecting the project.
Yeah, so Uganda is an interesting country. Like I said, I've been in office for a couple of years. He's doing his work to support. And one thing about Uganda, it's about social capital. It's about who you know. But at this point, we don't have time to go to that level. So we're working with people who already are inspired about this initiative. These are personal businesses. The person just stands up and says, no, I want to solve this problem. You look at Kifon. This is a person from DC who decided to just solve that one problem. So government has this issue, but if you want to solve the problem, you don't look for government. Do something in your own capability. So we'll not bother interrupting government. Yes. Yes.
Congratulations. The Africa trade,
Yes.
how far will you develop in that?
So the African trade really, the main product is the app. But to get there, app development takes a lot of money and finances. So we are looking at using a test prototype and can test out in the field. At this point where we are is we are developing a website where so many people actually access information and do something, because I'm not going to be meeting every people in this room every day. So if we find a platform where everyone can go get this information, we find ways of getting people outside the platform. So by the end of this month, we shall have the website out. And hopefully that leads us to generating money to first of all come up with a prototype and start into an app, and then we get to start solving some problems of this issue. So it's a work in progress. Thank you. Well, it looks like people are satisfied.
Yeah.
I wanted to thank Emmanuel for choosing me, giving me the honor of being his thesis advisor. He was in my social media marketing class, spring of 22. Always a joy, always had a great contribution. And so I was so honored and delighted when he asked me to be his advisor. And I predict great things. I know he's already been accepted to Master in Business Analytics program at the University of Notre Dame, South Bend, Indiana. Another great Holy Cross institution. We expect great things. Congrats.